let's have a look. All right, so here we go. Let's take it away. It's a little, there we go, better. Okay, so I mentioned shopping during celebration is the time to take advantage of purchasing your staples and things that are going to be available only for a short period of time. One of the extras I have for you is a free class kit when you place an order of just $40. This week's card class is the Terrific Toadstools class. I shared with you the cards earlier this week. It's a super cute set with the trendy mushrooms and the coordinating paper that you can get free during celebration. Place a $40 order with me using the host code, and I'll send you the kit to make all the cards. If your order's $60, you get to pick a celebration gift, and I suggest, if you're going to be interested in the Terrific Toadstools, that super cute paper that goes with it. But I have more, so I'll keep going. All right. As I mentioned earlier, today's project complements this month's card kit of the month based on the birthday celebration stamp sets and the pretty Wildflower Specialty paper that includes not just cardstock, not cardstock, but patterned paper, designer series paper in celebration speak, and it includes 2 sheets of die cuts. And each die cut sheet is a duplicate, meaning you will get 2 of every die cut. So what I like to do is cut mine apart. I've saved mine in this little solo envelope. I have been creating lots of cards and I still have loads of die cuts left. Let me share with you what I've been creating. So last week I shared with you my special freestanding pop-up birthday card, super cute, and it folds flat, a little bit of nudging, to be mailed through the U.S. Post in a standard size envelope. So that was a bonus project I shared with you. These are the projects that are in the kit. You can make them in your own home anytime, or if you're local to me, you can register for the kit and come on kit night and create your cards. I will have the stamp set and the inks that you need. So there's cards for celebration. One's a fun fold. Love that. Another card. And the super cute tote that you can either store your cards in or gift your cards in. So this is the card kit of the month. It is $34 plus shipping if you need it shipped. You do need the stamp set if you're going to create the cards as I created them. Otherwise, you can use your own stamps and create on your own. Your kit will include the card kits, the paper share of the Wildflower paper I just shared with you, a spool of the gold thread that we're using on most of the projects, and that's this thread here. I should have pulled it for you. I love the texture and how easy this thread is to work with. And the embellishments. So that's what's included in the card kit to go. All right. Are you ready to say today's project? It is a super magical card. It's a gift card apropos for birthdays, right? I'm going to move that out of the way. And this is going to bring a smile to the recipient's face. It looks like a card from the outside. Make a wish. When you open it up, look how magical this is. It pulls up the birthday card. You can write your little message and sign and insert a gift card, or what else is really trendy these days? Cash. So it's super fun to make. It's actually very easy to make that. Look how it pulls up. It reveals that nice little gift card. So fun. And I made it using the die cuts from the Wildflower paper. Essentially the same supplies I've used to create the card kit. So today's project is a bonus. It's not included in the monthly kit, but you will have the supplies to create this card. You'll have the die cuts. You just need some of the extra papers as well to create this card. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to share with you how easy this card is to create. It folds flat, so it's also going to be easy to mail. So I'm going to put my reference card aside. Here are my supplies I need. This is, and I made myself little notes, a 4 1/4 by 11 piece of blueberry bushel, another piece of blueberry bushel that's 3 1/4 by 7, Wildflower cardstock, and if you saw me earlier, I'm wearing a Wildflower shirt today. This one's a little bit different. It's not your standard layer. So this measures 3 5/8 by 5 1/8. Now that's a unique size because it was cut to mat the paper that's in the Wildflower pack. This particular cut needs a mat that is the size I just told you on the Wildflower. This little pattern paper measures 3 1/2 by 5, and I made the mat just 1/8 of an inch bigger. All right, let me keep going with the other supplies. This creates a little pull-out pocket, so we need a basic white slider layer that's 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. I have pre-die cut 2 basic white arches. Now these are everyday arches. I have shared these in the past. They're one of my favorite new die sets, online exclusive. And look at all the layers that you get for matting. I've pre-cut 2 and a third in this pretty vellum paper. So this is called Gold Mercury Vellum. You have about 3 different patterns that you can pick from. This is the same exact size as the basic white, and I'll tell you why I have so many of these layers. From the pattern paper pack, I pulled that pretty and pink cake on a bushel, blueberry bushel cake stand. I cut one of the little, it looks like an envelope piece with that patterned paper. It's got these stripes that are the colors from the paper pack, the blueberry bushel, the pool party, the pretty and pink, the gold, and I'm substituting wild wheat for my gold. Now I'm going to be trimming that down to 3 1/8 by 1 7/8. And I trimmed also the little tassels. This is one of the dies. It's actually longer, so I'm going to be able to make 2 cards with that one die. And a sweet little posy that's going to be an accent on my card. All right, and that's what I need. So let's get started. Again, I'm going to call out the measurements as we go along, and I'm going to do the step-by-step for you so you will know how to create this magical card. And I promise it will bring a smile to the recipient's face. These handmade projects do wonders when you are celebrating someone's special day. All right, I'm bringing in that half sheet of paper, which is 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm going to be scoring. This one I score at 2, so I'm using my paper trimmer and my scoring blade, just being really careful to use the lighter gray blade. Raise your hand if you've ever accidentally pulled down that dark gray blade when you wanted to score. Oh, I kick myself when that happens. I know better, but I just have to think about what I'm doing. So be careful. Put the little cutting blade in the garage, so to speak, and bring out the scoring blade. My second score line on this cut is at 7 1/2. All right, and I'm done with this piece. So 2 inches and then 7 1/2, right? My next cardstock that I need to score, and this one measures 3 1/4 by 7. This is the slider with a pocket that will reveal the gift card. So this is blueberry bushel as well, and it measures 3 1/4 by 7. I am going to score again, so be careful with that cutting blade. Push it up and bring down the scoring blade. 2 and then 6 1/2. So easy measurements. 2 and 6 1/2. There we go. So I have scored. The next thing I'm going to do is some layering. Oh, I'm going to leave this out because remember I said I needed to trim this little piece here and So right now it looks like a little envelope pocket, but I love this pattern with all the stripes that pulls in the colors from the background. I didn't want any more florals. I didn't want any cake. I just wanted it to be colorful and cheerful. And that's what we've got with this little pocket. So this one I'm going to cut to 3 1/8. So most of the time I try to avoid the 1/8 measurement, right? Because we get so comfortable with the quarters, but once in a while we do need to use 1/8. So 1/8 is the second mark. If you have a paper trimmer like mine, the first mark would be the 1/16. The next one is the 1/8. And I'm going to abut it right there to the bridge of the trimmer. And this time I do want my paper cutting blade. So I'm going to bring that down, trim that off, and I'm going to rotate. Yeah, Margaret. Okay, so let's talk about that cash versus gift card. I think I'm going to start the new trend of gifting cash. Gift cards were the way for so long, and then things started happening. Scammers tried to, or figured out a way to take your gift card bonuses before you got to cash them in. So lots of times I'm hearing stories from friends who have gifted gift cards. The recipient goes to use it, and it's already been used, and it's heartbreaking. So if you're in person, cash is the way to go. Through the mail, it's a little bit trickier, but yes. And this little card is perfect for cash. And it's so fun. I love it. It's really elegant with the colors from the Wildflower paper. I'm just in love with the color scheme in this paper pack. So 3 1/8, 1 7/8, which is just 1/8 smaller than the 2. So I'm going to trim this down. There we go. That's a layer that I'm going to need. So I've done my trimming. Now we are ready to layer up. Get some of these layers out of the way because you know me. If I have it on my desktop, it's going to get lost. So the sooner I can layer up, the better. Okay, so let's start with the card base. I've got 2 score lines. I'm going to flip it over. The bottom is where the smaller score is, the 2-inch score line. I'm going to fold that up and burnish. The other score line, which was at 7.5, I'm going to bring down, and here's where I'm going to force it to align correctly. I'm going to abut it to the paper at front, and this is your chance to tweak any slight error, and I'm going to press down and force my paper right where I want it, because remember, who's the boss of your paper? This sounds like so elementary school, right? I'm the boss of it, right? Okay, so here we go. That's me and my elementary teacher speak. I'm the boss of it. Okay, so there's my card base. The little magical slider, the smaller one, is also going to be a pocket. So the pocket is going to be 2 inches. I'm going to fold that up, burnish it down, and then there's a tab up at the top. That one I'm going to fold back and burnish. That's going to create the slider mechanism. So look how I've burnished that down, right? Okay, so now I've folded and burnished. Let's layer up. So we can start off by putting that small pattern paper right onto the pocket of the slider. This is going to be flat adhesive. So take your pick. If you're feeling lucky, use your Seal Plus. If you're like me, I'm going to be cautious and use my liquid glue. Why? Because it is so forgiving. If my paper doesn't land on the exact spot I want it to land on, I have a little bit of leeway to tweak it. So there we go. All right. And look at that sweet paper, the pattern on the back too, those little floral daisy-like flowers. Oh, so sweet. But as I said, I am loving the blueberry bushel with the pretty in pink, the pool party, and I substitute wild wheat for the gold that's in the paper. It's very cheerful yet elegant. So, okay, so I've got that. That's going to be my pocket. And what I'm going to do is actually create the pocket. That means I'm going to close that up putting adhesive only on the two short sides. I do not want to close the pocket. So here you could use tear and tape, or you could use liquid glue. You can see I'm using the liquid glue. We're just gonna fold that down, and I'm gonna apply some pressure to let it stick, right? Okay, so what we are creating so far is the slider mechanism. So that's gonna be ready. Oh, I goofed. Did I goof? I did. I forgot to insert my white layer, and let's see if I can pull it apart. Let's see. Ah, I got it. I got it. All right, it's a little bit wonky in there. That's okay. This should actually be in here first. Now, sometimes you cut this a little bit short because it is a pocket. You're not going to be able to see down here, except that when you have that little layer in there, sometimes the card or the cash will have a little bit of trouble getting over that bump. So I like the full length, and this slider layer, the insert layer, is 3 1/8 by 4 1/8. Let me try this again. So again, I'm happy that I use my liquid glue because it's so forgiving, and I goof up all the time, right? Crafters goof up all the time. It's just coming up with the remedy. So this is a very slight border on 3 sides. I'm gonna butt it up. See, I have a little bit more down here at the bottom of the pocket, less up here at the top because I want equal border on the 3 sides. Now let's retake. Let's try this again. That's what I get for not checking my notes. I'm going off memory. Okay, so now I'm going to close it up. And by the way, I didn't bother to erase my notes. Nobody's going to see that, right? All right, better. There we go. And you'll have a little bit of space to make a short note or to sign up at the top there. All right, let's go with our card front layer. And for that, again, we are using one of the card front cuts from the Wildflower Specialty paper. It's got a very soft pink background with the blueberry bushel posies, the peach pie, and the pink there, and the gold. So all the colors that are in this color scheme, including the stripes, and this is going to go on flat. So again, liquid glue or seal. And we are just matting it to have a little bit of a gold border. And I am calling my wild wheat my gold. So wild wheat is one of those colors that's going to be retiring this year at the close of this catalog. And I'm going to be sad to see it go because I use it plenty as a substitute for my gold, both for cardstock and ink. I think it's a really pretty option for gold instead of using gold foil, which is a little bit heavier. And I don't know if you saw that, but I just took my card front and pulled it ever so slightly to make it an even border all the way up. Sometimes it's crooked, right? Okay, so now I'm going to have to cut this into 2 pieces because part of it's going to go on the lower side and part of it's going to go on the upper portion. So what I've done, I know that I need to cut it at 1 7/8 inch base, but I'll tell you how I determined that. I've sort of placed it on my card front, equal border on both sides and equal border top and bottom. And this pocket is 2 inches. So I'm going to have about a 1/8 inch border at the bottom. It's going to be flush to the edge of this paper. So I'm going to bring in my matted layer, bring back my trimmer, and I'm going to cut the card front. And I'm going to cut it up to 1 7/8. Cutting blade. Be careful. All right, now we're ready to layer this to the card front. And I'm going to start with my upper piece. This is going to go on flat. So flat adhesive, and again, it's just helpful that this liquid glue gives. especially when you want to make sure that your borders are equal. This is going to go flat to the edge of the paper, equal border on both sides, and you could even use your grid paper to make sure you've got an equal border, because it's going to be about one grid line, one grid square on both sides. So here we go. Just pushing that over, pushing it down. And look where I'm looking, right here at these grid lines. I've got the same square here, pulling it up just so. And whoops, I moved it just ever so tiny, and then one grid square here. So that's how I know I'm centering. Now I'm going to align the base of the card the same way. This is just going to be butted right to the edge, so you really can't see too much of that split in there. Right here. And I have made this magical glider, different themes, and I'm going to tell you that the recipients are always amazed. It's just, there are some fun folds that just awe the recipient, and it's so heartwarming when they think, oh my gosh, you made this. It's so advanced, so fancy. Yeah, we're going fancy today. Okay, so there we go. So there's my card front, where here's my slider mechanism. So let's see, let me make sure I've got everything go. Now we're going to create the magic. We've got this little flap here. We're going to put adhesive just on this panel here. And again, I'm going to use my aggressive adhesive. And this, I'm going to flip it over. And I'm going to, again, center this. And this is going to be aligned. The edge of the magical slide is going to be aligned with that score line. That's the 7.5 inch score line. And I'm going to make it as even as I can. So back end is what we're looking at. It's going to be flipped over. And make sure it is straight again. And sometimes, let's see, whoops, it's kind of not dry yet, so I have to be careful when I flip it over and don't move it. I don't want it crooked. All right, so there is, see how that happens? It's just gonna go and flop back. All right, and now we are going to close up this pocket on the card base. That's where the slider is gonna be revealed from. So when this closes, look at the magic. It's going to slide right in. When it opens, it slides right up. So now we need to seal this pocket. And again, just like we did on the slider, we're going to apply adhesive only on the short sides, both sides of that pocket. And I'm going to close down, and I'm going to apply some pressure for just a little bit to make sure that it is sealed. You can go ahead and burnish down. There we go. And when we close this down, look how it slides away. There's my card front. We're going to be decorating next. And here's what we've got for decoration. So I've got the everyday arches. I have a basic white, and I have the gold vellum. Sorry, gold mercury vellum. And this I am going to put onto the basic white, only because this is a card front, and I love the way this looks, but I want some extra stability on the back here. So I am going to, and I'm trying to think this through, we've got a backing as well that we're going to be stamping and decorating. This layer, I'm going to give it some space in there so that you can actually tell that it's mercury vellum in there. If you put it right atop, you can't tell that it's vellum. It just looks like a print. By spacing it with the dimensionals, you're able to see that it is vellum, in fact. So I'm going to bring in my dimensionals. And you know what? I'm going to put my cake on here because I'm going to go heavier on dimensionals at the back of the cake. So if I remove this, you can kind of see the cake through. At least I can. It's difficult to see off camera, but I want the majority of these behind the cake, because on unpatterned vellum, you can see the adhesive through sometimes. With putting it behind the image helps conceal it. This is going to be aligned right atop the basic white layer. Again, it's just for stability. And I don't want this pulling apart, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring in some minis, tuck them right in the corner, and you won't even see them, but it will be adhered so that your layers aren't flapping open. So let's see, put 2 at the sides. And I do like to use a mix of the standard size embellishments and the standard size dimensionals and the mini dimensionals. I find it really helpful to have both sizes handy. All right, there. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and add our cake. And yes, I'm going to add the cake as well with dimensionals just because I love the 3D component. So I'm putting one right there. And just going to see here. So hopefully you're still with me. And does this look like a card you might make? Do you think it's going to be too difficult? Sometimes what I recommend before you try a fun fold is to do one with old cardstock with colors you're not crazy about, so you don't use up your favorite supplies. Oops, I'm also going to put a little piece down here at the bottom. Let's see, I have this piece that was just waiting to be used. It was trimmed off the edge of my mini sheet. I use all of my dimensionals. How about you? So I'm finding I'm getting prepped for birthdays this year. I'm trying to do better and mail out on time as opposed to running a few days late, but it's still, at least I'm recognizing birthdays. All right, and that's going right there. Look how elegant that cake looks on that mercury gold. What do you think? I think it's pretty special. So this is going to be here, but because this pulls open, we're not mounting this flat on the bottom portion, only at the top. So the way I like to get around or ensure that I'm applying adhesive only where it needs to be. Okay, great strategy, Margaret. Go back and watch because the steps are easy. I will have the tutorial available too. If you're on my email list, you will get a written tutorial. So I like to put adhesive at the bottom of the top layer and then right at the top of my focal point. And you can see how much I put on there. Oh, thank you, Margaret. She says she loves the card. I'm happy that you do. I have to admit, these colors, this paper, are what just make it magical. Whoops, I feel like I didn't take off all my dimensionals. I kind of jumped the gun on securing that. Not too late. So let me lift that up and pull off my backing. And the card base, of course, is usable with any stamp set, any theme. It's a perfect gift card / cash holder. Could be for a wedding as well, right? So there we go. There's my focal point on the front. Look what's happening when I open. And so we're not finished yet. There's lots of details that we want to finish up. One, we are going to add another arch back here. So this one's going to be upside down. The arch is going to be to the bottom. So let's decorate that. Oh, hello, Simone from Orlando, Florida. Thank you. Hoping that the Mother Nature is treating you well. I know that weather is happening across the states. Here in Southern California, if you're watching me live, today's Friday, it has not been as windy. I haven't heard about any raging fires like we did earlier in the week, so that's a good thing, right? So the inside, let me bring in my reference card. I'll show you what I'm doing. Happy birthday. These little, this banner with the tassels is from the pattern paper. And I can't say enough about this paper pack. I think Stampin' Up! Really hit it with the 2 sheets of the same die cuts, because 1 of each die cut was not enough. 2 is perfect. There's lots of variety in sizes, in little accent pieces, in card fronts, labels, all kinds of things. So I'm taking the birthday from the stamp set, birthday celebration. I'm inking up in Blueberry Bushel, and I'm going to stamp at the bottom of this everyday arch. So there's my birthday. Next is my happy. So again, this could easily be a wedding card, shower card. All right, now I'm going to put the happy right up here at the top, and I'm going back to my reference. I'm kind of putting the descender of the Y right there between the T and the H. I'm just going to try and be as straight about it. It's kind of hard when I'm got the camera in between, but fingers crossed. Blueberry Bushel, happy birthday. All right, and let's place the banner of tassels. I just didn't want it to be too low earlier. And if I push it over, I'm going to snip off that little tassel. So I used the other side of this banner for the reference card. So 2 cards from the same banner. It's going to go right in here, corner to corner. So what I did was use just a tiny dot of the liquid glue along the twine of the banner. And then I'm going to put a tiny bit on the tassels, just to make sure that they're stuck on there. And I don't want to cover up my greeting. I want to go kind of like from the corner to the corner. And I can snip. I'm going to tap that gently and snip off this so that it's flush. There we go. Then this gets attached here, so we have a nice sturdy layer for the card front and nothing peeks through. And again, we're going to add adhesive here. I have a feeling I need to trim this little tassel. Make sure it's not popping off. There we go. And then this gets adhered. Keep rotating it wrong. So right over top, it's a nice thick layer. So nothing flimsy about the card. Nice and stable. There we go. Happy birthday. And so you can see how this is going to work. And again, this is perfect for cash as well. Push that right in. And it's perfect as it is, right? So yes, continue to send the prayers California way. It's just heartbreaking. Victims of the fire are being victimized in other ways, and there is going to be lots of prayers and support needed. So thank you for the prayers. And I am so grateful we've been safe in our area. We're just about 50 miles from the fire zones. Smaller fires have popped up in our area, but nothing like what's ravaged Los Angeles. So let's see. I had also a greeting on the front. If it's a birthday card, that Make-A-Wish stands out really well, and so that you didn't have to watch me stamp and fussy cut. I pre-did that. So I have Make-A-Wish. It comes from the stamp set. right up here. It is one stamp. I snipped it down, so I have 2 layers. I didn't want to cover up too much of the cake. So here's how I adhered it here. So it's going to go on the cake right around so. And because the cake is on dimensionals, I'm going to put a small mini dimensional, bring it in, right next to the cake. That's where the H is going to be. And then I'm going to add flat adhesive behind the smaller letters, so it sticks. All right, and let me take that off to make sure it sticks. Coming right back in here. There we go. So there's a wish. We'll put the make in just a second. And this also gets glued on flat. I'm going to see if I can snip that just a little bit straighter. And I've come in really close to the letters. There we go. And this is flat adhered. And I'm going to bring this in right over the A. So it's stacked a little bit differently than the stamp itself. Right there. I'm using one of those tiny little posy die cuts, so sweet. It's going to go right here at the base of the cake, right underneath the wish. And again, I'm going to use a little dimensional here. Abut it right to the corner of the cake, or the cake plate, cake stand. And then I'm going to add a tiny bit of adhesive right behind. Add that right here. Sweet. I'm not finished yet. Oh, thank you for sharing, Simone. I appreciate it. I hope that whoever you shared it with enjoys this project as well. There. And we want a little bit of bling, right? So what I'm using is a celebration pick. Let me grab it. I like the flat adhesive, so what I've picked are these purple adhesive backed sequins. You can see here, it's one of the celebration picks you can get, and it's got 4 different colors. So there's Berry Burst, Fresh Freesia, I think it's Bubble Bath, and white. And I have 2 sizes, so cool. And because I'm on the white cake and I want a little bit of shine, it's got that opal-esque shimmer to it, I'm using the small ones. And they have a glue dot on the back, so you don't have to worry about applying adhesive. So coming right in here, I'm going to use a few because they're flat. They don't add any extra dimension. And then I'll pick one larger one to put down here a little bit lower by the wish. And there we go. All right. There is our magical card for celebrating a birthday. Easy to make, just a few simple steps, but it is well worth it. Faces light up when they receive this style of card. So here's how it works. Look at how it pulls open. You've got that great message there. You have room to sign here. And there you go. And this will fit in the standard size envelope. It should be, it's less than an ounce, so it should be doable. Depending on who your postmaster is, it should go through with standard postage. I know sometimes postmasters get a little bit particular and pick back a Thank you, Margaret. I hope you have a great weekend too, and I will see you next week. Happy stamping this weekend. Hope there's crafting in your plans, and reach out if I can do anything for you. Thanks so much for joining. I will see you soon.